Peace. What's up, you guys? My name is O'Shea Johnson. I'm a spiritual advisor as well as a psychic medium, a business leader, and as well, you could say a spiritual entrepreneur. So, today we're going to get into talking about the simulation at hand, simulation theory, and understanding the nature of reality. So, in a sense, or before all that, you guys, let me just plug myself. So I do have two Patreons that goes into in-depth content, whether it is business and entrepreneurship from a spiritual perspective. That would be Elysium Empire Academy or Illuminati Secundus. That would be more for people who are following me from Occult Cat TV, my prior channel, and that would be more spiritual and elite occult and spiritual information, depending on whether you want to go the entrepreneurial route or the more occult and spiritual route. Both of those are going to be down below. So, as well, I do have services, I do spiritual advising, and as well business leadership, helping people to start businesses, continue to progress in their business, and as well just helping people understand themselves and the nature of reality, in a sense, understanding their destiny. My name also happens to mean, or Shay happens to mean fate or destiny. So these are the things I'm able to provide you with for those of you guys that had questions. So let's get into today's video, which is going to be the simulation, understanding the nature of the simulation. So, what is the simulation? When people are talking about simulation theory and things of this nature, what they're pretty much getting at is the fractal holographic matrix in which we live in. So, what does this mean exactly? In a sense, what we're living in is a soul simulation. That just because it is holographic doesn't mean that it isn't real. Actually, by all means, it means it's even more real than reality itself. So, as we start to live or play out this game, something that we start to understand is that our mind creates reality. In a sense, the mind is like a holographic or digital interface between reality itself, the the simulation, and our own inner worlds, the outer world and the inner worlds. And this is where we also get the Hermetic axiom, as above, so below, as within, so without. That in a sense, this reality is merely mirroring that which we feel within. So your thoughts, how you feel, all the things in which you think are actually going to be external projections that are going to start playing themselves out. This is why, in the beginning, when we haven't really done much spiritual work, or rather inner work, working on our nervous system and starting to as well clear out our trauma, this is why our trauma actually becomes, in a sense, a feedback loop that is then being constantly projected in our reality. You see people that pretty much emanate how you feel within. As well, reality starts to dictate and create this to be what you see, wherever your natural awareness is at. This is why it isn't until we start to raise our vibration, so to speak, that we start to, in a sense, go within ourselves and liberate ourselves from the bondage. If you're trying to change the external realm without first changing the inner realm, it's insanity. In a sense, nothing is going to change. This is why when we push on the external realm, we feel like we're not moving as fast as we could be, or we aren't even moving at all. But this is why the more that you start to go within yourself and you start to do the inner work, this is when reality starts to shift. Such as, let's go into business and entrepreneurship. If you're someone that is starting a business or you have a business, business is going to be a reflection of your mind, your state of mind, and where you're at. If you're not really getting better at the service in which you provide, this is because truly within you don't understand the service you provide. Such as me for spiritual advising or copywriting, that if I didn't understand what I was speaking about, it would reflect in my work. And this is why I also make videos on these topics as a, I mean, to help people to understand these kind of things, to understand the nature of reality, but it's also promotion. I'm expressing and showing you guys in a sense the things that I know, the things that I understand, and the things that I've unlocked within myself. So it's in the same way that my outer reality is expressing how I feel within. I've only became so eloquent and so able to express these concepts, able to channel them, because I've removed the limitations within myself. I've done the work, I've worked with my nervous system, I've worked with my higher self, I've embraced my inner daemon, or what's known as a guiding spirit. And that's why when I when I press record, things just flow so naturally, is because in a sense it's already happened. I've done the work to remove the blockages, so it's really just what needs to be said is flowing out of me. And in the same way that you guys are able to do this too. This is also what I help people to understand in my one-on-one coaching sessions, is to understand the nature of the universe, but most importantly yourself, to work with your nervous system, to work with yourself, so that whatever you need to do, whether it's content creation, business and entrepreneurship, uh, painting, creativity, music, whatever it might be, in whatever way, how you are meant to express yourself and your destiny, that you express the true limitless nature of yourself. Because that's what we're trying to get at when it comes to walking the path of our destiny, becoming our greatest version. This is why we're trying, ultimately why we're trying to do spiritual work, why we're trying to enlighten ourselves, why we're trying to liberate ourselves. Enlightenment, a lot of people think enlightenment is becoming Buddha or becoming Jesus or becoming this great enlightened being or leader or whatever you might think it is. But ultimately, at the end of the day, to become enlightened is to know thyself, is to know who you're meant to be, what you're meant to achieve, the thoughts that you are meant to think. You're not trying to be like someone else, because if you're trying to be like someone else, you're not being authentic. And this, truly, at the end of the day, authenticity is the highest frequency, and under that is love. So if you can be fully authentic in who you are and you can love yourself, you're already emanating those enlightening frequencies. You're already pretty much vibrating at the highest frequency. So naturally, that's going to then start to reflect, because you're thinking the way you're meant to, the way you're meant to think. You're thinking authentically, which is naturally going to then magnetize you all the things in which you need to fulfill your destiny, to fulfill your purpose. You're going to start magnetizing more of the right thoughts. You're going to intuitively start to take the right actions, or you're going to take inspired action towards that which you wish to achieve. And all of this is, in a sense, going to allow you to play the game. That a lot of people think that life is but a battlefield, but it is not a battlefield. That life is a game. This is what Florence Scovel said. And the more that you can understand it as a game, as a video game, so as to speak, you're going to start to make the right actions. You're going to start to choose the right quests and not be led and stru- strung about on all of these side quests. Instead, you're going to start embracing what truly matters. But it's first going to start within your mind, because the mind is what is projecting and creating reality. So, this is why it's really good to go within, to start to meditate each and every day and practice your using your imagination, interacting with the imagine the imaginatory realm or the dream realm. That becoming lucid isn't just within your dreams. Becoming lucid is also within life. The more lucid you are within life, the more limitless you become. The more that you start to as well dissolve these limitations, you start to pull back from the limitations and you start to embrace the limitless nature of your soul. And this is where you see people doing limitless things. This is why in the movie Limitless, and just like for myself, that as I started to become more aware, more limitless, something like money became easy. That I started to understand that money is, I mean, it's beyond this, but at a plain level, money is merely energy. So if you remove yourself from the equation of how to make money and you just talk to yourself fully and authentically, I had a video on this where we interact with the future self. Go back a few videos and you interact with your future self, you see how you gain the riches. Now for me, it's one through, yeah, spiritual advising, through copywriting and creating a marketing agency, but most importantly, I found I'm a day trader. And day trading is just like a video game. The way in which you interact it is exactly like a video game. It's a MMO, or massive multiplayer online game, but you're not playing against other people, so to speak. You are, because of the markets. You're actually playing against yourself. So even the markets or the algorithm, whether you're trying to, blow up on YouTube and become famous on social media, or you're trying to become a masterful day trader, or whatever it might be that you're trying to get good at, there's an algorithm, so to speak. With YouTube, there's an algorithm. What is the algorithm? Human psychology. In the same way, when you go into trading stocks, what is the algorithm? Human psychology. And because the thing is, the things on the outside, news and media and all these companies and these businesses that are changing and people choosing to buy or sell, all of this influence is human psychology. That the effects that the matrix has on reality is going to influence the markets. And now, if you're someone that is interacting with reality itself, or you're one with the holographic matrix, you are, in a sense, one with your mind, or you know thyself, then no matter what it is, if it's YouTube, you know the next video you need to make. That's how this video spawned. If it's trading, you know the next trade to take, the right trade. You're taking not just actions, but you're taking the right actions, because that's what's going to get you to the next level. In business, you're creating the right service, because knowing that you get paid in proportion to the value in which you provide. So if you provide a lot of value, then you're going to naturally make a lot of money. A lot of people don't understand money because they're doing all the wrong things. Not a lot of people are going to want to hear that. But if you start to do the right things, that ultimately the only way to make money is to, in a sense, develop a service, a skill, or a business. That will be your means of transportation to the wealth. And you can do this as well by living within living at the end in the feeling of the wish fulfilled. So the more that you start to live at the end, you're going to start to conjure and be able to interact with your future self, that in a sense knows the path that you're going to walk because you've already walked it. That actually time Time is, in a sense, an illusory concept, or rather, like, such as children don't feel time the same as an adult. So that means we're able to manipulate time based off our perception. So it's in the same way that you can interact with your past self, just like you can interact with your past lives, and you can interact with your future self, just like you can interact with your future lives by cutting through time. Now, the way in which we do this is through magic, the occult sciences, understanding reality and universal law and things of this nature. In a sense, what magic does is it cuts through the quantum field. This is why people that do ritual or are more spiritual in insight, mind body understanding, they're able to cut through reality at a faster rate. They're able to manifest because they understand the law of vibration, that if I am in alignment with that which I wish to become or that which I wish to be or interact with, if I'm of the same vibration, there is no separation. Einstein called this spooky action at a distance. So if two particles are vibrating at the same frequency, they can't not be with each other. So if I can learn to vibrate as at the same frequency as my future self, I'm able to then interact with my future self. If I'm able to vibrate at the same frequency as my millionaire self, I'm able to interact with them. As I interact, I can gain insight and understanding that then evolves my state of awareness and consciousness that then I can download that persona and then I can embody it. This is also where we get timelines from. That in a sense there's millions of timelines. There's millions of you. And all it merely is about shifting your consciousness into that timeline or pulling that timeline into this reality. How you do it, so as to speak, doesn't really matter, but in a sense what matters is the effect. So really it's just trying to find the best effect for yourself in that interaction. So I think I spoke enough on this topic for today. So and we're going to continue with this topic over time. This is just pretty much just a foundation for this new channel. Again, you guys, my name is O'Shea Johnson. I'm a spiritual advisor, a psychic, a medium, and as well a business leader. So if you enjoyed this video, please do feel free to leave a like, feel free to subscribe, feel free to follow. All my social medias are down below, and that does help me out. That boosts my algorithm, pushing me to more people, so more people can view this, and we just, in a sense, reach the masses. Other than that, I do have Patreons that go more in depth with this information. All that stuff's going to be down below, and as well, like I said earlier, I also have services. So I do offer and provide one-on-one spiritual advising, consultations, as well as business leadership or coaching, strategy, things of this nature. What you'll gain from that, I can't even quantify. Pretty much, we just, in the one-on-one setting, we pretty much go over how you can get to the next level. We talk about the psychology, spirituality, understanding the universe from a deeper perspective, specifically pertaining to you, and as well uncovering your destiny in this session so that you can use that information to just continue evolving and becoming your greatest version as you walk the path of as you walk your most destined path. Other than that, you guys, peace. I'm out.